Hello and welcome back to Mind Money Masters with Cameron. Today we're going to talk about financial freedom. Is financial freedom a myth? Understanding the steps to achieve financial freedom can be really complex. Typically, this is easier to discuss in a forum versus directly talking to you about this, but I want to get your creative juices flowing and I want you to start thinking about financial freedom. We hear about financial freedom. We hear about people who are financially free, but yet it depends on the circle that you're with. Is that your reality? So today we're going to talk about whether or not financial freedom is a myth, ways to achieve financial freedom. Let's get started. So there's 4 steps really, in my opinion, for financial freedom. The first step, and this is the key number 1 point, is to decide and learn. You have to be intentional in your decision. You have to know that you are making this decision for a purpose. You have to find a why. You have to decide. You have to make that decision on your desire to be financially free. Now, once you've made the decision, you have to learn. You have to educate yourself. Focus on financial education, financial literacy, and then move to the next step, taking the massive action to start. Knowledge without action is completely pointless. Take that massive action to get started. Do something, even if it's little, do something. The next step that's key, controlling your mindset and focusing on motivation, how to be motivated, ways that you can be motivated by internally or outside sources, somehow to keep your motivation going. And once you understand your why, that motivation is going to be so much easier. And lastly, in order to really be financially free, you've got to automate your activities. We don't want you doing something all the time, 80 to 100 hours a week, with no freedom in mind. So you have to scale, you have to automate, you have to outsource. We're going to go through each and every one of these steps in more detail. First, financial education, financial literacy. Investopedia actually defines financial literacy as the ability to understand and effectively use various financial skills, including personal financial management, budgeting, and investing. The lack of these skills is called financial illiteracy. So kind of defining it by the opposite of it. The way that I would delve into financial education even further is just general learning from others who have been there and done that. Direct mentors are key in this stage. Someone that you can personally talk to, talk with, have a coach, act with, bounce ideas off, who has been there, done that, or is doing it now, whatever the case may be. Learning from others who have more knowledge than you is super key. If you cannot be with a direct mentor, learn from books. They're kind of an indirect mentor. People who have been there and obviously done that will help you understand your next steps. I have 3 authors on this page that have been really paramount to my success and my financial education: Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins, Robert Kiyosaki. A book that I would like to recommend from Zig Ziglar is Born to Win. This has actually really been a key book in my life, helped me understand that you were born for something greater. You were born to be more than what you think you are. It expands your mind and gives you tools and ideas of ways that you can become financial free through financial education. Tony Robbins. Most people would think of him as a motivational speaker. However, his book, Money, Master the Game, was definitely motivational. However, it was extremely focused on understanding money, retirement, finances, budgeting, financial freedom. Robert Kiyosaki, Many of you already probably heard me talk about Robert Kiyosaki, but one of his books that I love, he's best known for Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but he's also really well known for Cash Flow Quadrant. In the Cash Flow Quadrant, he divides what people do for a living into 4 quadrants. You have the ESBI quadrant. E stands for employee, S stands for self-employed or specialist, B stands for big business owner, I stands for investor. Now, you can cross over to multiple quadrants, but ultimately the goal in his book is to get everyone to a B and an I quadrant. I'll have links for all of these books also in my profile, so if you want to check them out, they're on Amazon. They're not very expensive at all. The next step, remember we talked about, was taking massive action. I think I mentioned knowledge without action is pointless. All that really means is if you've got someone that has a wealth of knowledge but never taken any action, what do they have to show for their knowledge? Purely book learning. If you don't have any action, if you're not experienced, if you've not been out there, you've not done it, then why are you continually talking about something that you don't really know much about, except from what you've learned from other people who have taught you via their text? Action is key. Knowledge without action is pointless. Now, fear definitely plays a part in this. Taking action is super scary. Think of if anyone has ever been skydiving before, think about that moment before you're right there at the edge of the plane and you open the door, wind's blowing in your face, and then you're just like, oh my God, I can't do this. But yet the person you tandem with is like, let's do this, we can do this, we can do this, and it helps you make that next step and jump out of the plane. Fear can either be forget everything and run as an acronym, or it can be face everything and rise. Remember, doing what you have done and what you are doing has only got you to this point. If you want to be something more or do something greater, you have to do something that you've never done before. Definition of insanity is doing the same thing over, expecting the same results. So if you want something different, a different result, do something different. You have to take that action. Now, there's many ways to take action. The first step that I would say, and it definitely worked for me, was purchase a program, a good program. Focus on a program that will offer you a mentor, that will offer you a step-by-step guide, that will offer you an option to do multiple things. I learned affiliate marketing through a program. And I'll talk a little bit more about this in later episodes, but Entre Nation by Jeff Lerner program, step-by-step guide, is offering you an opportunity to be in one of 3 different business models and have a coach every single step of the way. Definitely strongly encourage purchasing a program that is quality. Second, take one step every single day. Small steps add up. A book that I encourage everyone to read is a book by Darren Hardy called The Compound Effect. It talks about small individual movements every single day, individual actions every single day add up. You take one action every single day. By the end of that month, you've done 30 plus actions. Lastly, I would encourage you to tell your friends about what you're doing. However, there's a caveat with this. Only tell your friends, the friends that you know will be supportive for you. If you tell some friends that are not going to be supportive, that could detract you from taking action. It's going to jump you right back into step 2 where fear comes into play. How many times have you heard someone tell you, oh, don't do that, that's risky, maybe you should do this? Everybody has an opinion if it's something that they don't know about, but they think they know better for you. Don't listen to that. Focus on mentor, coaching. What's the next step? Small steps every single day. Follow people and focus on surrounding yourself with people who are successful and want to be successful. Leads me to the next step, mindset and motivation. So how do we break down fear? Fear is something that is huge. There's two kinds of fears, in my opinion, failure and success. But where do these come from? Most of the time, fear comes from the unknown. You're worried about failing, but you haven't tried anything in order to fail, or you haven't maybe tried this particular program and you haven't failed at this, so why are you afraid of failing at something new? Take that next step. Loss of motivation is inevitable. I do talk about this in the next video actually, but motivation is key to keep you going and to break through fear. Finding motivation in even some of the most obscure situations is important to get you through that point in time when you're slowing. I mentioned there was the two types of fears, failure and success. So the fear of failure is obvious. Most people have a fear of failure. It's that risk aversion that most of the world has. We don't want to fail. There's also a second kind of fear called the fear of success. What happens if you are successful? What happens if you do make the money? What happens if you start the business and you do explode wealthy and you become financially free? Will people look at you differently? Will you lose friends? Will people not like you? Say, oh, rich person, they don't know what they're talking about. They don't understand. There is the fear of success. Own that, understand that. Now, I will tell you, if you're at the fear stage, you are making progress because you're making decisions. Every single fear that comes into play is because your mind is fighting against one part of the mind. So the good thing about this is if you have fear, good, embrace it. You are making progress and you're moving on to the next step. Now, once we bypass the fear, once we've gotten rid of the fear, we've taken the action, how do we scale? How do we automate? How do we actually create a lifestyle that allows us to be financially free? Now, this is making a few assumptions that you are in a business for yourself, or you have found an opportunity if you're investing, if you're real estate, if you're stocks, if you're owning your own business, what kind of business it may be. It does take some liberties here. I will tell you, don't trade time for money anymore. We do that in a job. And if you're still continuing to trade time for money as an entrepreneur, you're doing it wrong. We want to trade money for time. We hire people. We outsource. Now, at the beginning, you will do everything, and it's going to be nature. You have to learn the business. You have to know what you're doing. You have to understand so you can maybe even help others. But we're not designing this so that you have to work 80 to 100 hours a week. True financial freedom doesn't require you to work 80 to 100 hours a week. I don't care if you love what you're doing. Now, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. I'm sure everyone has heard that quote before. I don't care what it is that I'm doing. Working 80 to 100 hours a week sounds terrible. But remember that quote, because if you don't love what you're doing right now, find something else. Life is too short for you to focus on something that you don't truly love. Lastly, I want to give you my final take and wrap up on financial freedom. The title, Is Financial Freedom a Myth? It's not a myth. It takes hard work, it takes dedication, but most of all, I firmly believe it takes belief in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, you will not succeed. How can you succeed at something if you don't believe in it? How can you make yourself successful if you don't believe you're going to be successful? That's where the first step has to be taken. You have to be intentional. You have to decide to do it. It takes being smart about how to take action. We don't want to just take action just to take action. It has to be smart action. This is where a mentor, a coach, a program come into play. How to take action. You want to also pick something business-wise that you can scale and that potentially offers you a way to make money while you sleep. You weren't meant to live someone else's life. So I would say you definitely need to live your own life and focus on your financial freedom, your path. Where are you going? The program that put me on a path to financial freedom, I will tell you, affiliate marketing. I think I already mentioned that a little bit. Jeff Lerner's program from Entre Institute is one of the best that I have ever seen, and I've been doing it for some time now. Please feel free at this point to comment or ask me questions. I'm happy to answer any questions. It's a program that I firmly believe in, and I will give you the link in the profile, in the description of this post. But I want you to take from this that financial freedom is achievable. It's something that you can do. So go out there and do it. Be whatever you want to be. Let's start living more like a childlike entrepreneur. Let's do whatever we want to do, be whatever we want to be. I hope this gave you some inspiration today, and I hope this gave you some good ideas. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for my channel. This is Cameron Clark with Mind Money Masters, signing off for today. Cheers to your success, and I truly, truly hope to see you at the top.